Hey guys, welcome back to the After Artists Podcast, official podcast of digital and creative media works, where each week we take something from pop culture and try to break it down to better understand it. My name is David.
Hi, I'm Ben.
I'm Laura.
And this week, guys, we've made it finally. We did it.
Oh my.
And I'm in the same shot as everybody. Guys,
Oh yeah, first of all,
it's nice to finally be together.
45-degree angle is
Because
really messing with me.
This is the last time we'll be in this room on this.
So we may as well do
podcast.
something completely different with it, eh?
Now that I've said that out loud, we should have done the same thing we've always done. But fuck you. We're exciting and different. But listen, guys, it's finally happened. We saw Infinity War. That
Oh my
rhymed.
god.
Part one.
It's not part one, it's just Infinity War.
Part one.
You bloody hang on to that, mate, if you need to.
Guys.
A few things up the top. There is no way to talk about this film without spoiling it.
Oh yeah, absolutely
fucking-
not.
Normally, when we
Yeah.
do this kind of thing, we try to have like a segment at the top where it's like, well, you know, no spoilers. But I
No.
think
So our segment, why don't we just tell people what we just said about like the film?
yeah. So one of the things that I want to focus in on as far as like the concepts that I wanted to explore, because there's a lot to unpack. But the hardest thing to work out is having just seen it. Processing whether this is actually a good film or not is
Yeah,
impossible.
it's hard.
we
I
were
don't know
asked-
yet.
We were just asked.
Look,
like,
I
on
had a
this-
wild time, but
Yeah.
like I don't.
We were,
I felt things, but I don't.
Two separate people
think-
asked Ben and I
and
whether we liked it, and we just went.
we went. I mean, I'm not gonna go see it ever again. Like in cinemas, I'm not seeing that again. But like, it's not.
I might
bad.
rewatch it when it comes out, like later.
I don't know if
Maybe.
I will.
I
I'd rewatch it.
I
No,
would-
I'm never rewatching.
I would.
this film.
I just want to rewatch it to pull it apart because the way that they've
Yeah.
done some stuff, I'm so curious about.
Yeah, I'd
Um,
rewatch it from a purely analytical
Yeah.
perspective, but like I don't think you can enjoy
Not to,
this
like-
film having
yeah.
seen it once.
I think that one of the. So let's do quickly. Let's get out of the system really quickly from each of you. Two things you really liked, Laura.
I felt things.
Yeah.
Thing one, thing two.
Oh god.
Now I put you on the spot because it's a
Yeah.
hard film to watch.
Problem is, a lot of my things are like. Anyway, no, you continue.
You got.
I don't know if I have more things to.
Wow, that
don't know.
seems harsh,
It's hard.
but also fair. Ben, you got two things you liked.
I like the way that they handled having so many characters.
Oh,
and
I have my second one actually.
you want to hit your second one?
Yeah, I was
now?
gonna say
Alright.
then Ben could do
Um,
it.
So I did like the stuff that they pulled in from like the other films, like the way that they tied it in to all the other films.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, Ben.
yeah. So my first one, I liked how they handled having like 30 fucking characters, and the way they did it, I thought was really good. Which I have reason to believe I understand how they pulled it off.
I would love to hear that.
And another thing I loved is it just gets like I talked in our OTS episode, patreon.com/DCMworks.
Got him.
That / people.
Promo. No, that's the Redbubble linky dipshit.
Okay.
Patreon.com/DCMworks.
I mentioned that they either had to just like put a cap on it or just like fucking shoot it into the stratosphere. This was like both.
Yeah.
Yep.
They simultaneously put a cap on all future Marvel films and also launched it into the fucking stratosphere.
They put a cap on it, then they dropped a
Holy
bomb on it.
shit.
Yeah, and I don't know how they did that.
Oh man.
That's the one thing I don't understand.
I kind
about
of.
this film.
That's the only thing I understood.
All right. Well,
What I'm
hit us
curious
with
to-
your two.
Well, I don't actually have to because I don't know if I
don't like this film.
I like elements of this film and I
Right.
like the ambition. Those are my two things because I don't think anything in this film. The thing that stood out to me as exceptional compared to the other kind of Avengers films, the thing that stood out to me as exceptional was the way that they handled the themes and the execution with which they delivered a villain who actually had pathos, but who wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start from the start. It's gonna be a complicated thing to try and
Okay.
unpack.
Are we
Yeah.
gonna? Are we on the spoiler part at this point yet?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
we're into
Spoilers.
really hard spoilers
Yeah,
from here on out.
like
If you
this-
if you haven't seen this, do not listen unless you don't give a shit. Which I
Yeah.
know a lot of people don't. And they
If
just listen to
you just
everything
don't
we
give
do.
a fuck, then
Yeah, well, we're going into
You
heavy
probably
spoiler
know
territory.
what
We can't
happens
talk
already.
about this and like pull it apart unless we talk about
I'll
things.
tell you what though, if you listen to this, you'll be able to probably when your friends are talking about it at the water cooler tomorrow, you'll have like a better understanding of the film than probably they have.
we're gonna
Oh,
AF
man.
Welcome to AFA. We're very confident.
We're very
in
analytical.
Our,
We're
in
pretty
our-
sure that
things
we
to say.
get shit. We've been doing this for a long fucking time, Ben. Too long, I tell you.
This is too long.
Fucking 3 years, dog. Okay.
Not me.
No, Laura's a
No, you're-
relatively
you're along-
fresh
you're along
intake,
for the ride, though.
But I feel like collectively we're dragging you along into the screaming abyss that we call our analysis pit. But look, so I wanted to talk about the key motif of the film, which is like it starts off as being
People dying? Is that the key motif?
sacrifice is the key. Okay, so one of the key motifs of the film, delivered and explained to us by Thanos, is this idea of balance, right? So his pathos as a villain is he has this fucked up thing where a great tragedy occurs and he thinks he could have stopped it by killing half of the planet's population, right?
Yeah.
At random.
And he thinks that this will work for every planet.
He thinks that this is a sound economic solution.
Well, no, but he doesn't, because he went through trauma. His pathos is he believes it to be a solution with no evidence.
Yeah.
So he's insane.
The thing is that, like,
but you understand that
he doesn't realize that sort of life kind of balances itself a lot of the time.
Yeah, or he believes that perhaps there needs to be sort of an interloper to help achieve that. Which, like, from a villain's perspective, it's like, yeah, sure, it's an insane thing to think, but if your entire planet died because they didn't listen to you and you think it would have worked, you'd probably carry that with you as well.
Probably.
Right? Probably. I don't know.
It
Maybe.
made perfect sense.
Possibly.
Yeah, exactly, as a villain, his pathos made perfect sense. You were like, and that villain speech when he's got the knife and the blade and he's doing the balance, he's doing the murder in the background when he's killing half of them. I was like, that's a brilliant, like, if you're talking to film kids about, like, how do you do a good scene of a villain speech? That they literally did in the background when he was talking about the knife, and you're like, I get it. I was expecting the gem to be in the knife, if I'm being completely honest with you.
That's a bit obnoxious.
Nah.
Yeah. I was like, they might, though. They're that bad.
No.
But that brings me to another
It
point.
could be
So
a red herring, literally.
that was what I was expecting. Maybe they got me, maybe.
It could have been
they
a
might
red
have
herring.
goofed on me.
Some, like, I didn't think it
But
was.
by the way, if you saw our predictions episode before this, we got one prediction right.
pretty wrong.
Guys. We
Pretty
got
wrong.
one prediction right.
What?
And that was the Gamora death.
I called Spidey's death.
Yeah.
You called Spider.
I did not expect that, though.
I didn't expect
Oh
that,
my
though.
god.
I didn't
it was
expect.
rough.
Well, that was the thing. Well, I mean, we'll get to deaths later.
Yeah, we'll
but,
come to
like,
those at the end. But
Yeah.
But we called it for Gamora.
Yeah,
we
got
fucking
you.
called it.
I would say hers is an actual death.
I have a theory about the deaths, which we'll get to when we talk about
Yeah.
deaths.
Alright.
But here's what I'll say. There is an element of this film where if you're talking, like, okay, so the glove, when he puts it on and uses it to kill people, it has consequences on those people's lives, right? But when he wants to get the Soul Stone, so when he wants to, like, claim that final stone, they change the rules.
Second final.
Sorry, the second final stone.
Well, third final, actually. It's the third one he gets.
But it's technically the final one because it's the only one no one else has. That's
Yeah.
kind of how I viewed it. Like, it's like the one. It's the key
the
to
one that we haven't seen yet.
because he knows he can kill everyone. This is the one he needs to actually do the
Yeah,
thing.
I was surprised that was, like, the third one. I was expecting that to be, like, the last one. But it makes sense
Yeah,
being
but
the third one. I
it
think the
being
stakes are
there
better.
makes sense for the Gamora thing, and
The stakes were
Yeah.
better having the Mind Stone be the last one.
The problem I have with the way that they handled the Soul Stone is all of the gems up until now have been tools that people use to achieve things, right? The Time Stone lets Doctor Strange zip back in time. And do
Yeah,
cool, make
they've
an
all
apple
had a
on apple.
movie.
You know, the Power Stone is used to, like, destroy planets by the
Yeah.
Kree. The Mind Stone is good at making things alive. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff. We've seen them as tools used by people. My biggest problem with the Soul Stone is they turn around and go, well, this one has different rules, and it's an hour and a half into the film, and they're well out of the first act. You actually can't do that when you're telling a story.
I don't know what the Soul Stone does at all.
Yeah,
What does
and
it
it's-
do?
Like, all you needed was a throwaway line. Literally, like, this is basic script revision, gang. And then maybe they cut it because it's a big ass film. But in the
Probably.
first act,
yeah.
all someone has to do is be like, this when they're doing the space and they've got the
explain what all the
projections.
things do.
Someone goes,
Yeah.
the Soul Stone's a bit different though. We're not sure how, but it's rumored to be different. And then when it happens and is different, you're like, cool.
If anything, they imply that the Time Stone is different because that's the
That's
only
it.
one that they don't project. They show. They physically show it.
So again, that my problem is that if you're gonna do that kind of a twist, you have to actually set it up. You can't just be like,
Well, it's not even a twist. It's just he just kind of gets it.
I mean, like
Yeah.
but I mean like a narrative twist.
okay.
Like it's a twist because there's no exposition that sets it up.
Yeah.
If there was, it wouldn't be a twist. It would be part of the story. Instead, it's just this thing that you're supposed to be like, now he has to kill Gamora. Instead of being like, oh yeah, well, someone mentioned before it was different.
Yeah.
There's no setup for the payoff. So when it happened, I was like, man, Gamora's death
Even
is
if they just
rough,
explained that, like, Soul Stone doesn't actually do anything.
but- right?
He just needs it
Yeah,
because it's one of them.
which would have been cool, and it made
No, like the Soul Stone doesn't do anything much like a soul.
God and bitch.
Much like a soul, it doesn't do anything, but hey, it exists.
Got you, Dave Brolin. I think that if you were going to do that, though, you could have done that with Red Skull, right? Maybe he goes crazy. And maybe he's on there and he's tinkering with the Soul Stone. He's devised
He's, like,
this
trying to
puzzle.
figure out what it does.
Yeah,
It's like
and
it
that
doesn't
could have
do
been kind of
anything.
cool. And then he developed this trick thing. Or
No.
this... But no, they were like, just out of nowhere, it's got a...
He's gonna
It has a
chuck someone off
puzzle. What?
Yeah.
It's fucking dumb.
Yeah.
That's fine. So I don't mind that. I just needed a setup. But I want to talk about that because that focuses really heavily in on his pathos and this idea of sacrifice, because the whole film is framed around Tony's sacrifice in the first Avengers film when he falls from the sky. There is a box of tissues behind you on the shelf.
Oh, okay.
When Tony in the Avengers, he flies up and he goes into the portal to save New York. That is the initial setup for this idea of sacrifice. Tony sacrifices himself and saves Earth, right?
Yeah.
Then, literally, this entire film is other people sacrificing themselves to save Tony and doom the universe. Or the galaxy, sorry. And that inversion of themes is so interesting to me, because you can tell, like, and obviously we know from the second Avengers, like, all of these people die because Tony lived. Like, his punishment, this is a theme that is explored with Thanos, and I'm sure that one of you will have picked this up, because I kind of didn't, and I'm sure it'll be in there somewhere.
Yeah.
There must be a moment in this film where you see Thanos save or do something where it's like he, instead of sacrificing for himself, he's sacrificing for the greater good. Or is that what he views? Oh, that's a Gamora thing.
Yeah, that is.
But also, like, I guess planets, because he views that as, like, a good... Yeah, no, that makes sense. But, like, the fact that Tony, you know, he, like, his punishment is to live, right? The reason they killed all of the good characters is the people that survived...
Literally, the only people that are dead at the end are the people with lots of demons.
Yeah, because...
People alive at the end.
The people alive at the end are the people who sacrifice something to get where they are.
Yeah.
It's Tony, it's Scarlett Johansson, it's Captain America, it's... Bucky gets killed because Bucky did nothing wrong.
Yeah,
He was
Bucky
programmed.
is so pure. Like,
That's all. T'Challa gets nuked on
Because he's
I think
fine.
the theme
Yeah.
for all that is the people that live are like the bad guys who, the bad blokes. That's why it was interesting that they killed Peter, and I think they killed Peter because
He's too pure for this world.
oh,
he's too pure for this world.
He's a
and
hot
also,
cinnamon bun too pure for this world.
also, can we talk really quickly about one of the most pivotal scenes in the film for me?
Yeah.
Because they're the guardians of my heart and my galaxy, which is when Gamora and Peter have that exchange where they sort of, they don't get together, but they have that moment where they kiss.
Yeah.
And it's the
Yeah.
first time that we've seen them moving
Actually,
from
yeah.
the
I mean,
sidearm hug that
There's
we
been
saw.
build up for about 2 films, and it did feel good.
It felt good, but I felt like they should have saved it. If she died and they hadn't, it would have been worse. And I kind of would have liked to see that make Peter Quill into like something else.
Well, it
Well,
did make him
It
into...
almost implies that it...
But it's kind of sad that they didn't like let Peter like live so he could be.
Well, even some of the...
like,
That's what I'm saying.
Some of the writing even kind of implies that that scene didn't exist. With like the always on call booty, the booty call joke.
It's
the boyfriend joke. Like I feel
it
like
feels
there
like
was-
maybe a reshoot.
Yeah.
But
Like, it was-
again,
like that
yeah,
joke
the
was
booty
just kinda
call joke
edited.
was weird.
It just
It didn't fit because it's just like it was like, but we thought
they had that super
you
tender moment.
established that it was
Yeah.
like very much.
Although it's also Peter, so he might do that.
Yeah,
anyway.
maybe he does
yeah,
that. Maybe he's
you
just
could
weird
take
like that.
as-
But
yeah.
again, the fact that the film makes you ask those questions means it did something wrong.
To be fair, what he described instead of saying boyfriend is kind of what being in a relationship is like.
But they also
always on call booty.
they also didn't get together. They just kissed in a moment that mattered.
Yeah. And
So-
then they said what they felt about
Maybe-
each
can
other.
we-
maybe
and
it
then
makes sense.
he almost killed her, but then
While
Thanos
we're
was like,
talking
nah.
about Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yeah.
their introduction to this film is like
The greatest
it's
moment.
it's so like 100% Guardians.
Everyone
It's
laughed.
like
perfect.
space.
The,
You're
the
like,
song,
yeah.
music.
The song starts playing and everyone's like, "Here it is." It's space. That's a
Space.
great
Like,
joke.
as soon
You're
as
like,
you see
alright.
the shot of space with the music, you're like, we know who this is.
And then they have to explain it to space. And the best part is they use that text to actually like establish a lot of other locations
Yeah.
that you wouldn't know
Oh,
where they
it's
were.
great.
But it's the first time they use it.
This
You're like
is-
space.
Part of what I was talking about with like how they tied it in really well with all the other films, and I feel like you wouldn't get as much out of this film if you hadn't seen at least, let's say, Thor Ragnarok and maybe
Guardians.
2,
You kind of need to have seen the first
sort of
Avengers.
Black Panther.
You need to see.
You don't have to have seen Black Panther, but it would help.
If you'd seen the first Avengers film,
Like,
you
if
could be
you'd
fine.
seen the last few films,
I don't even think you need. I literally think, and I would argue for this. I will go into the wars for this later on. I agree, except that I think
I mean, I don't think it's necessary per se, but I think you'd get more out of the
Yeah.
character interactions, particularly.
from a story, if you would understand more of this, like
the thing
you would,
is, because
yes.
you have
yeah,
like
no, I understand what you're saying.
Loki, like at this point, I'm so glad that Loki didn't just straight up betray them and save his own skin. Oh my god, that was so rough.
I was-
Um,
I just remember
Yeah.
he died.
Yeah.
It just hit me. I was like, oh,
It was
well,
such
yeah,
a.
he
It was
died,
kind of a
yeah.
beautiful moment, and like it.
They killed Idris Elba. They
They
killed
Yeah,
did.
they
Idris
just killed.
Elba.
Yeah, they killed.
Oh my god! It was.
Guys,
oh.
come on. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
That's just rude.
I mean,
Yeah.
Loki's death was very much just.
And it was
Really
like.
unsettling.
It was like a
You know-
very, very quick redemption arc.
Well, I mean,
I knew it was-
It happened in Thor Ragnarok, really, because they made up in Thor Ragnarok.
I mean, it was super
And then,
obvious as
like-
well when he's pledging his allegiance
Yeah.
and he's like Odin's son. I was like, phew, fuck.
That got me right in the
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he's gonna do something brash.
Yeah,
now.
as
'Cause
soon as he says
doesn't-
Odin's son, you're
never,
like,
he never
oh.
calls himself that.
Guys, can we talk quickly about just quickly
We're
like
just bouncing around between moments.
no,
of
I'm
this
talking about the
story.
same moment. That
Same moment?
that opening scene. Does that mean Cork's dead?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I know.
My baby.
I know.
Well, I'm pretty sure there was a shot of Valkyrie dead as well.
No.
So they're all gone.
no, no,
I don't
no, no,
know.
no, 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 no.
Valkyrie was on the ground.
She's my baby though.
She was like dead on the ground.
They're all my
I don't know.
chicklings,
It didn't.
fam.
It like went past like, and it
She was.
it was someone
she
with
was-
like that
She
looked
was
maybe, I
wearing
don't
the
know.
white armor.
There was someone with
Yeah.
armor that looked like that, but I didn't.
It was.
It was
perfect.
only a glimpse, but
They're
like,
dead.
Yeah,
They're
they're all
dead.
dead.
yeah,
They've killed
pretty
them
much
all.
all of Asgard is
the
dead.
only Thor character that is still alive is
Thor.
Thor.
Yeah.
Oh my
It-
god!
That's it.
Do you think that from a narrative perspective, did you guys enjoy that opening? Like just when Thanos turns up,
Look.
the camera work made my head hurt. It was so many
I
close-ups
think.
Yeah, lots
and weird
of
angles, and so I know the low down angle was to make Thanos feel like
Yeah.
dangerous, but it really made it hard.
I think
to
it
watch.
was a pretty wild cold open.
Yeah.
I don't. But if they
I
had-
liked some of like.
if they had like started the film earlier, it just would have been like.
Yeah. Well, it was good that they
Marvel."
put it
But
right
it needed
into the
to be there.
action. Like it was
Yeah.
literally like right after the end of Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Like
Could
Well, they cut
Right
out the
after.
fight. I'm glad they cut out the fight.
yes.
it showed because you know
Yeah.
what?
'Cause I didn't want to watch those characters die.
Well,
No.
we
I didn't want to see Korg die. That would have crushed
That would have
me.
fucked
I
me
just
up.
walked out.
You'd be like, nah, I'm done.
Like the podcast is over. I'm
Yeah.
out. We've actually
at least
I-
they spared us from that.
we didn't talk about this in our Road to Infinity War, but this film conceptually was pitched and announced before we started the podcast. That's how long this has been coming.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
But to be
Oh,
fair,
absolutely.
BVS beats it by about 2 months. BVS was pitched before the podcast
Oh,
and
good.
came out after the podcast was happening. But I wanted to touch on like the analysis-y stuff that I was chewing over when we were in the car
Yeah.
and watching the long-ass credit scene. So Panos, I've written Pathos and Thanos next to each other, and that is code in my head.
Yeah.
I've got Thanos as Pathos, and I should have
Yeah.
written that differently.
Should
Yeah.
have not written that. Yeah.
Thanos as Pathos.
The
is this-
pathos of Thanos.
The pathos of Thanos sounds like a boat. My uncle sailed the pathos of Thanos to
Sounds like
Greece in the
sounds
summer.
like a really bad indie band.
Oh my god, it
oh
does.
my god.
But he's so yeah. Basically, what you've got is Thanos being the emotional center of this film, which is weird.
Wow, it's so odd.
But
I'm not a fan
it
of
works.
it.
It
but
works.
Sort
I
of.
think it does
You know-
because you can't have another fucking Avengers film have the emotional center be Tony fucking Stark.
Oh my god, I was so glad they didn't focus on Tony.
And, well, you know what? No, actually, Ben might be right. Maybe
I would say that
Tony's the emotional center, but he's decentered by Thanos.
I would say that
pathos.
Thanos is the main
Yeah.
character.
Well,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
they definitely focused a lot on like fleshing out Thanos' motivations and like
I'd say like in order of main characteriness, it's like Thanos and then like Tony and then like Gamora
As in, like from a protagonist perspective.
from like a lead
I would argue that maybe
and like
Thor
most
is
important characters.
Thor's
And
up there
Thor's
because of
up
the
there.
promise of his
Yeah,
God
Thor is
killer.
actually up there.
We should talk about
his weapon is
Thor's-
fucking
We
sweet.
should talk about Stormbringer. Oh, Stormbreaker. I always want to call it Stormbringer because Stormbreaker is the film that it was an Australian book.
Isn't
it's a film.
Stormbreaker like? Isn't Stormbreaker meant to be what's her name's character?
Jane
Jane
Foster's.
Isn't
No,
she
she's
Stormbreaker?
Thor. No, because she gets Mjolnir. So
Who does she become when
God.
she gets me? She becomes like Thunderstrike or
No,
some shit.
she's. It's a long. I don't want to get. They change names so often, but she becomes Thor because he loses Mjolnir, and she makes a Mjolnir, and then he gets a different axe that isn't Stormbreaker, and then Stormbreaker is owned by the Thanos. Sorry, by the Thor. That's a cat man or a jackal man.
What?
Or is it?
Let's not.
Okay, let's
Tiger Man?
Let's not.
okay, let's put a cap on it
Let's
now.
just not
let's
think
not.
about
Yeah.
it. But what I liked, and I wasn't sure if they were gonna do it because I was like, they're gonna make another fucking weapon. I wasn't expecting them to make like a really good one. Because the axe is just the God of War axe, but with thunder and shit.
It's
with
fantastic.
Groot's arm.
I love it. Oh,
He remade it though when he stabbed Thanos. Oh no, that was the bum of it.
Yeah.
Okay, I missed that. Because I was like, why was the bum metal? But that was the two parts.
The 2 parts.
So they had the axe head on the butt, but not the handle.
The handle is.
Do you think
Groot.
they'll recraft that, or are we just going to be tight with Groot? Because I think it's kind of cool now that Groot's dead.
yeah,
Maybe
it's
just the handle.
cool that it's Groot.
I will say I didn't see him recall it enough. Because I've been playing so much God of War, and that slap with the axe,
Yeah.
man, I triggered like something in me where I'm like, yeah, Groot, more murder. He was sick, and that whole axe idea.
The whole like reveal of him like using the axe was probably the
People
coolest moment
clapped
of the
and I
film.
wanted to walk
It
out.
was. Yeah, it was.
It was cool,
It
but
was
like,
like the
wasn't-
coolest moment
wasn't
though.
clap-worthy.
It wasn't
like,
clapworthy.
It was just net. It was the return of Thor, and it
And
was like awesome. But then
also-
people clapped, and it was like this moment has been ruined.
Peter Dinklage mentions when he's talking to him about the axe, where he's like, you can summon the Bifrost. It's like the king's axe, right?
Yeah.
Because Thor had the prince's hammer, and
Yeah.
it's the king's axe he makes, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But like, and he goes, oh, offhandedly, he's like, also can summon the Bifrost. Like, he just kind of mentions
And
it.
it's like,
and then
that's
they
pretty
literally summoned the
important,
Yeah.
Bifrost.
When he said that, I was like, that seems important, David.
Also-
maybe that's
It was
exposition.
interesting that like
But you can't do
Heimdall
that.
does
It's
it
the
as well.
second
Like he
act.
fucking summons the Bifrost as well, and it's
It's related.
implied that it's
It's the
related
weapons.
to the weapon rather than to the
Yeah.
actual like
building.
building.
The gate only gives it a direction. The weapons are what summons the Bifrost. So the gate is like a channel. So you can only aim at Earth if you're really good and know where you're pointing.
And
He's
apparently
really
Heimdall is really good.
Idris
and
Elba
so is
well, he sees
Thor.
everything.
he's really
So he
good.
can aim at anything.
Yeah.
The reason he works at the thing is because that's where Thor
I was
goes
sad
to.
that Thor didn't get to keep his eye patch.
We'll get
But
there.
I
Alright.
think, though, if we're talking about the axe stuff, I have a big gripe, a huge gripe, a giant spot on this film, and it's the
Okay.
same size spot as the dumb Soul Stone. It's got a spooky riddle. My problem is, what you can't do is in the second act be like, well, we've got to forge a new axe, and we're gonna go there, and it's gonna work like this.
We were
and it's
talking
gonna kill
about
the
Thor
god.
getting a new weapon in the.
I hypothesized it because it made sense.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
He wasn't acting like a god. He was acting like bum ass Thor. It's like give him a god weapon. He's gonna be a god, right?
Yeah.
But
Fair
like
enough.
you can't. You got to pitch that again. You have to mention it in the fucking opening act. This is like basic story. You have literally the beginning hook is the only place you can do exposition. After that, you have to
Yeah.
stop. And this whole film was like.
He just kind of like when he runs into the Guardians, he's like, I need a new weapon.
Right, but that's like in the middle of the second act because it takes.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you know what? Maybe it's the start of the
That was
second
pretty
act.
early.
Yeah, it is fairly early.
It's only early in the narrative, but it's like an hour into the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's a long film.
And I was so ready to be done with new information.
And I think the second half of this film does a lot better than the first half because the stakes for the second half of the film are explained in the first half. So the second half
Yes,
is just
the exposition's brilliant in that way.
it's just
Yeah.
Vision has what we will assume is the last stone because he gets the most exposition from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Scarlet Witch can destroy the stone when it's in him and it'll
Yep.
kill him probably.
Yep.
Or
He literally
there's
explodes when she does that.
but there's an
That's
option
like
of going to Wakanda
it's so
and getting
bloody
it out.
tragic when that happens. Like, because she actually succeeds in a way that Peter Quill doesn't, where she
Explain.
because Peter Quill
Oh,
was
you mean
meant to
He's got the
like
gun. I
yeah
see what
he
you're
was
saying.
meant to kill Gamora to stop
Well, he was
Thanos from
powers
getting
to,
the
yeah.
Soul Stone.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do that.
Well, he
Well,
does.
He
He pulls the trigger.
Yeah.
He does pull the trigger,
But he
but it was
doesn't-
never going to work anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh, that's an interesting parallel.
Yeah, and so she
Well,
has to.
No, she
But,
doesn't.
like-
She fails in the same way.
Well, no, she does it, and then it comes to nothing
No.
anyway
yeah,
because
in the same way
Thanos
that
reverses
in the
it.
same way that Quill does
Yeah,
it,
they
and
have
then
the
it's
same
reversed in
failure.
the same way.
That's really interesting.
It's just the different stone. So in Quill's case,
Yeah.
it's just reality stone.
And then,
He was doing it in the reality stone, and then he's like, "Well, shit," and he escapes. The same thing in this. She kills him. He's like, "Lol, time stone,"
that's
and
interesting.
then
From
grabs
a,
the stone and runs away.
yeah, they
and-
both have the same failure.
It's-
what? Huh? I hadn't thought of it like that. That's interesting. Do you think that though? Because something that I was thinking about with that whole sequence with like Peter Quill with the gun and stuff is. Like, I kind of thought he'd do it. It
Yeah,
sounds dumb, but I was like, he
like
might
it-
just shoot her.
Well,
No,
I thought that like he
no, I
Yeah.
knew.
well
I
he
was like, he's not
tried
gonna
and
do it.
like if his gun had not been blowing bubbles at that point,
True.
he would have
Yeah.
shot her.
I just kind of wanted to I don't know. I just want to see what that would make him, because he's a character that you can do stuff with, like that too. And like we saw in Guardians 2 that he has this like,
And, like-
thing, and like when he doesn't hesitate to shoot his father when he finds about his mother, like that's a character that is so interesting.
But
to
like,
me.
I like that he actually like, because very often in film you'll have that moment where they're holding a gun to a loved one's head and they can't do it, and he
What
actually
you
pulls the
say.
trigger.
2 people do it. And the,
Yeah.
you know, what? Okay, let's talk about this though, because I didn't realize I wanted this until I saw that scene in Scotland with Scarlet Witch and what's his
I
noodle?
find their relationship super
Vince.
cute and like
Vincent boy, Viz.
His name's
Vision.
Vince.
Isn't she
No,
called
they call-
Viz?
She calls him Vince.
Is it
no,
Vince?
No, I think she calls him Viz.
I'm pretty sure it's
No,
Viz.
she calls her Vince.
I'm pretty sure
Because it's a normal form of Viz.
Oh, is it a... what's-
because he's human. It's Vision, but she calls him Vince because that's an actual
No, I'm
human.
pretty sure she was calling him Viz.
No, it's
We'll
Vince.
find out later.
100% Vince.
I-
Because he's in human form. He's trying to hide. So she's like, I don't want you to feel weird.
Yeah.
So I'm going to call you Vince, which is a normal human name. Not
I would-
Viz.
for a
it would just keep
storytelling-
like implying. It would just,
Yes, what you heard is better, if that is true, than what
No,
they
100%
potentially...
sure it's
I
Vince.
fucking... Maybe. I hope so.
If you're...
You know,
if
you know what I'll
you're-
say? I hope that's what they did. They probably did. I may have
No,
misheard.
I'm 100. Just
I-
believe me, guys.
so I-
it makes the film better.
No, you know
Just
what? When you
believe
put it
me.
like that, I'm on board. I'm on board to make this film better. I didn't realize I wanted this until I saw it, but a series of standalone films with Wanda, I know she's dead now, but with Wanda banging about like European
great,
towns
like-
doing espionage
Scotland.
shit. Doing like in Scotland doing espionage. The
Yeah.
minute that they were in those like this beautiful Scottish streets and the gorgeous train station, I was like, I would watch a whole film of her banging about doing spy shit.
Yeah.
In these settings, I was like so down. I was like, "This is cool." We haven't really
Yeah.
seen that. We haven't seen Scotland in the fucking Marvel universe.
Yeah.
I love it. It's very good. Very excited about that concept.
Yeah.
She's dead now, though.
Yeah. Her and Vision both.
Let's talk about deaths.
Oh my god.
I have a list if
Okay.
you'd like to hear it.
You have a list?
Oh, you
I
have a
made
list of all deaths?
That's what I did when you guys were banging on in
Alright.
the fucking cinema.
Oh,
Jesus,
okay.
what
Okay.
am I? What do you think I was doing? Wait, I was sending
I don't
text.
know.
I was just sitting. Yeah, no, you actually were sending
There
text for
were
a
the
little
kids
bit.
next to me
I
were
did
like
do that also.
trying to figure out who died, and they were getting it very wrong. It was funny.
Oh, really?
Okay.
They were like, "Oh, they were like, oh, Doctor Strange totally survived." I was like, "No."
No,
People-
he straight up.
Yeah.
It showed. Okay.
He got goofed.
Did they just not watch?
They
Did they
kids,
not
man,
watch
who
the
knows?
film that just happened?
Okay, here we
Right,
go.
give us the list.
People that became fluffy dust.
We'll go to the people who died first, because that's
Shit,
a short
different
list.
Fuck, hang on.
That's Gamora,
Gamora, Loki,
Loki,
Heimdall.
Heimdall.
Heimdall, all Asgardians.
Every Asgardian ever.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Korg. Mainly Korg. Mostly Korg.
Vision didn't turn into dust.
No. He did get fucked on.
Yeah, he died. He
He
straight
died.
up
He's
died.
dead. My theory is, so everyone that turns to dust can come back.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Everyone that didn't,
Oh, yeah.
dead for good.
Yeah, so,
Bucky,
yeah, 100%.
T'Challa, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Sam, the Vision.
Wait,
Vision doesn't count. We just
Sam?
decided it doesn't. The Falcon,
Oh yeah,
Wanda, Wong.
Wong.
I'm pretty sure he's dust.
What? No,
They
it
don't
didn't
show
show
it.
They don't show, but I'm.
No, they. I don't think
No.
they.
If
They
they
haven't.
didn't show it, it didn't happen.
They've never. They haven't, except for Spider-Man. Well, it doesn't count because
Yeah.
Tony Stark. They don't clear out an entire franchise. So they
Oh,
didn't. So
yeah.
they didn't clear out
Also,
all
Groot
of.
was not on that list.
They also Groot. So they cleared out most of Guardians except for Rocket.
well,
Why
they
did I
cleared out Shield pretty much, except for, I guess, Black Widow.
We'll talk about that end
Except for Black
credits
Widow
sequence in a minute.
and Captain Marvel.
No,
Um,
and War Machine.
Yeah. But
Like,
like,
she doesn't know how to shoot.
yeah, they wouldn't get rid of Wong
He
because
kinda
he's
is. he's the secretary. We saw that in the film.
what? Sorry.
What?
War Machine is the
That
secretary
was like
of the Avengers.
The Avengers thing. That wasn't Shield though, or are they one and the same
Shield,
now?
Shield is gone. They are the Avengers.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Whatever.
it's not important.
Yeah, they wouldn't wipe out.
It's an
I
agent
don't think
for
they'd
Shield.
wipe out an entire franchise.
No.
Because you need like a drive for Strange to
So,
come back to the
Ant-Man
story.
literally wasn't in this film, and given that his film is the next one,
Yeah, he's fine.
it
I
makes
think that
sense.
happens before this. No
Oh,
one's
are they
quite
doing
sure.
another prequel kind of thing?
Well, like just because there's nothing to do with it, it's just going to happen outside of
Yeah.
this time.
Just be like
Yeah,
adjacent. Yeah.
Earth is normal. No
Yeah.
one's turned into dust.
Yeah, and half the population hasn't disappeared. I feel like a lot of films after this are going to have a problem with that.
Yeah, probably.
What if Tom Holland's, what if the guy in the chair is dead? What if MJ is gone? I'm so cut with all these like side characters that weren't
If
in this
Ned
film
is
that may
dead,
be gone.
if Ned is dead, I'll be red, mate.
Well, I mean, again, people who went to dust Part
coming
2's
back.
going to bring him back.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. That was the first note I wrote.
Yeah.
They spend so much time in this film talking about how he can kill half the universe with a click of his fingers. Captain Marvel's gonna take the gauntlet off Thanos and click her fingers and bring them all back. That's what's gonna happen at the end of the next film. Guaranteed.
Well, the gauntlet's
100%.
broken, but the
she
stones are
could,
still
doesn't matter. She can make it happen. She got fucking Marvel dog.
Well, they can make another.
Or they'll time
they can
travel
make-
it back to good.
Well, they can make another.
Make another gauntlet, or they can put it in Thor's hammer.
What
Like,
does
there's options.
Captain Marvel actually do?
Captain? That is a loaded question. Captain Marvel is technically
As in
magic.
It's loaded with information.
No, as in like it doesn't. It depends how they do
They
it.
haven't confirmed it. We don't know.
We don't know in this universe.
So does it change from comic to comic?
No,
Well, it's just-
she
Or
has
hasn't-
she
she's
just
not
have
in
a
the
grab
MCU
bag
yet.
of...
she has cosmic
capabilities.
powers.
And she's not in the MCU
She
yet.
doesn't
yet,
have
so it's like,
she doesn't have
we
other
don't
powers.
know.
The quick non-boring explanation is everyone else in this universe has technology, magic, or radiation, right? They're gonna
Right.
get mutants soon because they got the X-Men back.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel is something different. Her and Adam Warlock have cosmic powers which are from the energy that created the universe, like the stones.
Oh, okay.
So she's like
okay.
Infinity.
So her and Adam Warlock are the only two people in existence who can wield the gauntlet, but who aren't also Thanos.
Uh-huh.
Which is never explained why Thanos can do it, but I guess because he's a titan.
Because he's a big boy.
He's technically
Whatever.
a half god. It's fine.
He's He's
But yeah.
powerful.
Yeah,
Whatever.
he's a big boy, and also he's got a big purple chin that looks like a squirt.
Yeah.
He looks like that
When he
character.
cries, his tears go down into his face grooves.
Yeah,
Roll
that
down
was
his
I
weird.
hate
It's so
that.
distracting.
Oh man.
The whole time I was meant to be crying for Gamora, and I was just like, he's got like the bulldog face, so his
Stop
tears,
seeing
his
it.
tears go down the grooves. I was like,
was-
that's so weird.
They
I'm so glad you noticed.
They do a hard
It
cut to
was
her
so
body
weird.
to tell you she's dead. And they cut back to his face, and I'm like, is that tear going into the groove? Oh.
It is. Oh no.
Hey, can we talk about how he looks like that dream guy with dicks for fingers from Rick and Morty?
Wait, what?
Do you know that character who's got dick
I
fingers?
do not remember that.
Yeah,
don't
oh no,
remember.
does he have dick fingers or knife hands? He's supposed to be like Freddy Krueger, but he's in the Dream episodes of Rick and
I
Morty.
don't remember that.
He looks like a penis.
I
face
remember
scrotum.
him, yeah.
And everyone makes fun of him because he looks like a scrotum.
He's like the Freddy Krueger guy that turns
Yeah.
up in your dreams.
Every time I looked at Thanos, I was like, kind of looks like him though. But no, you know what? Didn't hate his CGI. Kind of hated the CGI on that end shot with Bruce Banner in the Iron Man suit. What was that? Looked like a wobbly model.
I'm disappointed. What can we talk about the weird Hulk stuff that was going on in this film?
Whoa, yeah,
'Cause
that was odd.
it's
Hulk
just
was literally
weird.
too scared to come out.
Like
Hulk was
where-
like, fuck off.
Like where is
I'm
that
not coming
going?
out.
Like that's obviously setting
Well,
something
they've been
up.
going through like, because they have said that the Hulk is going on a fucking journey. Like,
Yeah, but
He's going on a journey
arc.
through feelings and
Yeah.
being a perpetual child.
Kevin Feige and James Gunn
Fuck,
decided that he
weird.
was going to have this journey, but it's like...
Starts with a bunch of weird CG apparently.
So in the previous film, he's like a toddler. Like a 5-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old. In Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
He's like a toddler. He's like a child, right? And in this one, he's like a teen that doesn't want to
he's
come
like,
out.
I'm not.
doesn't want to come in. Is
no.
that like
Is that what they were trying
is
to do?
Bruce
I don't
Banner
know.
like the metaphor for puberty? Is being Bruce Banner like
Oh,
going through
because he's
puberty?
awkward and shitty with
Yeah.
girls. Maybe?
Because
Oh, God.
he definitely
With a green
this-
monster that comes
this
out
film.
sometimes.
It's a metaphor for boners. This film
Got
is
him.
like
Got him.
this film
No,
has
teens are cunts, though.
yeah.
They just
This
become
this film
douchebags.
has more the continuation of the weird Bruce Banner acting from like Ragnarok,
Big time.
which I'm fine with because at least it's like consistently
Yeah.
bad.
I think, though, if we're talking a bit about this idea of, like, throwing in weird shit for the sake of it, it seemed like that was a big one. Don't know why. He could have just said the green guy's not coming out. They didn't need to spend that much time on it. In that exposition sequence when they, like, explain that he can't go green, that's all you needed.
Yeah,
That's all you needed was him
and
to
then
be
just
like,
put him in the Hulkbuster, and then just
let him goof
he's in
around.
he's like
Don't spend all that time making that
that
happen.
weird like no. That was just kind of odd.
I don't know. What is that? What is the plan? I don't know what
I
they're
don't know what they're
doing.
doing
It's
with
not
that.
good. It didn't make any sense in the film, and it just kind of... I kind of spent a lot of time being distracted by trying to work out. It was at the end. Was he going to come out? And he
Yeah, I
Yeah.
spent a lot of time being like, where is this going?
You know what I just realized is that through this whole film, Spidey is wearing his Spidey suit underneath the new suit
Yeah,
that
he's
he gets
double
from
layering.
Tony.
Yeah.
Underneath,
Well, they're in space.
and he's also wearing like his school clothes.
No, he took
He took the
those
school
off.
clothes off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think, though... okay, that's a good point. We're talking about Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man, very good character in this film. Very good character.
Oh man,
Two
he's
reasons,
a good character
too.
all the time.
He's a great... Fuck me. Seriously, this Spider-Man, top-notch job.
So good.
His first instinct when shit hits the fan, save everyone. Nice. Love that.
Yes. Oh
Love
my
that
god.
title.
He doesn't even know anybody, and he's like, I'm going to save them all.
That gag felt odd in hindsight because it's a great gag, but literally like the
What was the gag? I didn't hear the gag.
The gag is like he's also. I just want to complain about cinemas for a second. Every time a joke happened, everyone laughed for way too long.
Couldn't hear the
Oh my
next.
God.
You can hear the
line
next
being
line,
said.
and I'm like, they're giving important exposition that I will need for
No,
later in the film.
I missed most. I missed a lot of lines.
I missed a lot. It's like I fucking hate that. If you're putting a character like Peter, I almost called him Peter Quill. Peter Parker. That's two Peters.
There are two Peters.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And there's like 6 Chris's.
There's a lot of Chris's happening.
Yeah,
and they're
a
all
lot of them.
very handsome.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna put Peter Parker into this film and you want him to be like the apprentice / son type character to Tony, which is what they did. They did it so well.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
The key ingredient that you have to have is someone else to be like, this is weird. And they did that with Doctor Strange, and I fucking loved it. They could have picked any character.
Tony's like...
It wouldn't have made sense.
Like,
but,
his
man.
dynamic with literally every other male character was hilarious. Where it was like...
Yeah, I loved it.
He didn't get on with Doctor Strange because they were both being arrogant to each other.
Yeah.
Same facial hair.
And
I get it.
He didn't get on with Peter Quill because they both tried to take charge.
I thought it was different though from the other films where like normally he wouldn't get along because he's just a dick. Like this time, every time he made a decision, it felt like because he was genuinely rattled. Like even that.
And this one, he's kind of like unhinged.
Well, because he's been fucking hearing Thanos for like 6 years.
Yeah.
Like this is it, and he's like falling apart. And literally, and also by the way, I did call something wrong. I thought potentially that Pepper Potts was in that Iron Man suit. She was not.
Wrong.
No.
She's not even in the film.
She was in the film, and she was in the same jumpsuit as he was, which I guarantee is also an Iron Man suit. Calling it right now. Don't know why I'm making very like aggressive.
My
guesses.
fucking prediction of the goddamn fucking airplane fucking pull the tabs and it turns into the Iron
I
suit.
laughed.
I was 100%
I lost my
correct in
shit.
that.
I felt
So
so
if you haven't,
visibly
if you
giggle.
haven't seen if you haven't seen the OTS, I made a prediction that his new Iron Man suit. I made a joke that it would be like an aircraft life vest where you put
zip
it
it
on
up.
and you pull the tabs and it goes whoop,
And then the suit comes on.
and 100% that's what happens in the film.
I was astounded.
He like zips, and he kind of does put the hood up a bit, like tighten it. It's whoop. So stupid.
Fucking incredible.
So stupid.
Also, he should have taken his cargo pants off. That's not. Those are bunching up in the suit and
wearing
shit. Can we talk about the idea of the nanosuit that they executed on very well?
So
Oh, it was cool.
with a common
Talk
like
to me, Benjamin.
similar to the nanosuit, a common trend with this film was that every character was like peak.
Oh, yeah.
Like this was
them
peak
at their
for
best.
all of them.
Yeah.
And they all fucking failed.
They got dunked on real
Yeah.
hard.
Like Iron Man is just he's like Green Lantern in this. He's just making things.
Yeah.
And like just like he's got like in the first films, you know, he has a tool for all the jobs. In this one, he's just like
He's making it on the
creating
spot.
things. And it's like what the fuck? And like Spider-Man is just, you know, he's being a perfect Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's Spider-Man, but with
Yeah.
the addition of the Iron Spider
Yeah.
suit. Although I will say with Tony Stark, what I liked is that, and I thought they were going to do it, and I was like, I wasn't sure until that fight with Thanos, but the idea of like, because I was wondering, I'm like, how much nanotech does he have left? Because he's used a lot of it in this fighting.
Yeah.
So I was like,
And it
he's-
stopped working.
and he runs
at the
out.
Well, he
end.
starts
Yeah.
to run out, and he's like, and he does my favorite thing from the comics with the fucking Extremis suit, where like he'll be in a fight and he's running out of stuff, and he throws it from like a foot to a glove, and then back to another hand, and makes it into a sword. And I was like, yes, this is what 14-year-old me always wanted in a film. Yes, and he makes the sword, and then he gets stabbed with it. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
my fun over.
Well, even
there.
like
Yeah.
even
Be
like
sad in that boy now.
like Doctor Strange with his fucking shadow jutsu.
He's
Like
he's just a Naruto character, right?
Oh,
Like
man.
he is every
It was
character.
so
Fought Thanos, right?
good.
Every character is just broken
Yeah.
OP in this fucking
Yeah.
in this goddamn
Except
film.
for ScarJo.
Yeah.
No,
and
she's
Black Panther
peak.
is still at
She's-
the level that he was before. Like he's
that.
He's always been peak. I love it. T'Challa, like T'Challa doesn't peak. He is the peak.
He's always been peak. But like, yeah, all the characters have peaked at their like sort of individual strengths.
Yes.
And then like when Thanos comes in at the end to get,
he just
and he just-
destroys
he's just like,
everybody. He's like,
and you're like,
I got the power stone.
no,
And it's kind of
this
it's,
is so ridiculous.
it's in
Like,
slow motion,
What the fuck?
but it's not. He's just making it like that, and you're like, oh, Okay.
Well, like it had like when the Guardians get fucked up by Thanos, when he
They're
just
like,
hits
"Oh,
them with
the
that
final-
purple, and they just
the
kind of
final
like
chance is to destroy the Soul Stone, and they destroy not the Soul Stone, the
Mind
Mind
Stone.
Stone,
And it
they
works.
destroy it, and it like it's in pieces, and then
Yeah.
he can just rewind time.
Did someone
just
before?
rips it out of his head.
Does anyone rewind time before that in the film? I'm trying to think.
No, I don't think so.
I'm trying to think really hard if someone
No.
uses it to do anything before.
Well, I mean, Doctor Strange uses it to look
n-
into the future.
Doctor
and that's
Strange
about it.
nearly does.
I mean, like physical minute, but yeah,
he
does
nearly
use-
does at the start, but then he gets a bit like
Does-
like tentacled.
Does Thanos use it on Titan at some point? I'm remembering a scene.
No,
of,
he uses
No.
the Reality Stone
Ah, that's right. Yeah. But no, it's yeah, when he shows
when he
the-
shows them. Yeah,
It's interesting though because if you think about this film as like a kind of its place in the universe and like as because it's not really a film, it's like more of like a
this is not a
it's
film.
like an event.
This
I don't know
is
what to call it.
yeah. This like I have that feeling in general. This is like
It's not really a narrative.
it's almost like an anthology
Yeah.
that ends on a cliffhanger.
Look, it's
it's Game of Thrones. Fuck, it's Game of
Peter
Thrones.
Dinklage. Yeah, it's a series
Yeah, it literally
because
has Peter
at every point
Oh,
in
I didn't think
time,
of
there's
that.
always two. I don't think they break out to like. There's always two. There's never three. Even if like one group will split in half, they never like introduce those halves separately, concurrently with the third one. They always merge one in before doing those concurrent
Yep.
ones. So
Huh.
when the Guardians split up, you don't see the Peter Quill section until they meet up with the Titan group.
yeah.
And then only then once you've established, okay, we're back to two, do you see? So there's always
I
that's
feel
why
like
it works.
they yeah, like because there's a few different threads, but like
and it weaves in and out, but there's always only
it's
two.
like
Huh.
they managed to separate people from like
How did I not see that?
places and then put them together with characters from different universes
Yeah.
and like
That's really smart.
So
though.
yeah, so even at the start, it's
So you don't get a third fork until another fork is met with it.
you never if one parallel
Rocket and Groot and
Thor.
Thor are away off on their own for a bit, and then they meet up with everyone on Earth, and like
yeah, they come back to Earth for the final fight, which happens when there's who breaks off after that. That's with and then there's the Titan break off.
Yes.
So when I think the only point where there's really three concurrent, no, there's never three concurrent.
no, there's not. It's always
Because
two.
even when the Wakanda fight starts, technically Thor and Rocket is still off, but it never goes back to them until they
'Cause-
come back into the world. Because you have the Titan fight going on at the
yes,
same time.
because
Yeah.
they're actually technically already on Earth
yeah,
as far as the story is, even though they're not literally there.
yeah,
as far as the story is concerned.
the timeline bounces back and forth a bit,
Huh, that's really
but
smart.
never because it's only jumping between two. You never really get lost.
Do you think now that you've said that,
And the key is Thanos.
explain?
You're always following Thanos. You're generally always following him, and every time he's like given a scene or he moves to a new location, he always does something big.
Yes.
So he either gets a new stone or he
Yeah.
causes a catastrophe.
he's got
A
things
choreography.
to do.
Yeah, so you're always so even if it goes back to a separate timeline, you're always able to understand what's going on based on like
What he
has
did.
a bad thing happened.
There's like
Who did
some
he kill?
interesting
Disappearing.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like one of the things that happens like with the time stone, the way that Doctor Strange decides to give it to Thanos. And like he's looked into like 14,000 futures or whatever the hell.
Well, the one
Oh.
solution is
And
giving
like
it to him.
he thinks from what he's seen, he
do
makes
that.
the decision to give the time stone to Thanos and save Tony Stark's life.
And Stark's like, "Why'd you do that?" He's like, "We're in the end game.
Oh, it's really
Like this is the only way to win. The only way to win is to
Give it to him.
give
Yeah.
it to him, which
Did you not
triggers
get
the
that?
click and also calls Captain Marvel.
I was too focused.
He understands that Captain Marvel
He's
is
seen
the end game.
14,000 futures,
That's the
David.
end game.
But the only way that she gets summoned is when Nick Fury. Oh
is
shit!
when Nick Fury calls her because shit happens on Earth.
because everyone's
'Cause he
dying.
clicks.
And
So he's like, because they're in Wakanda and Wakanda's hidden.
sorry,
David's
is this
just having a moment.
If
film
Thanos like
good?
destroyed Wakanda but didn't get the final
Like,
stone,
Wouldn't have
Cause-
then
worked.
it wouldn't have worked. So he
initially you're
knew-
like, why would he do that? But like he knows what's about to happen,
And it's like a
and he
double thing,
decides
'cause
to willingly
at the
give the stone.
and it's a
to
double
Thanos.
thing because at the start he's just like, if the options
And
are
there's also
you,
like the
the boy or the
maybe
stone, it's gonna be the stone. But
there's
then he's
the
like, no.
implication that Tony might be important in the fight to come because he bargains for Tony's life.
Probably because he knows Tony's the only one that's gonna survive the click.
Okay.
He's seen it.
Doing some processing.
And just the line of like, "This is the end game."
Here's
is
what I'll
like,
say.
Is super like.
I was-
at first you're like, "What does that mean?" But then it's like, "Oh, like this is what the end game is."
I was so emotionally invested in Tony Stark at that moment that I was more feeling for his lack of control over the sacrifice. So when he sacrifices himself in the first Avengers event, so
Yeah.
in New York, he is in control of the situation. He gives his life willingly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now he is trying to give his life willingly and is not able because it is the only way. The only way for them to succeed is for him to live.
Yeah.
His punishment is surviving.
Yeah.
That's fucking good writing. That is
And
fucking.
it's like Doctor Strange knows that the only way for them to win is for him to give the time stone in exchange for Tony Stark's life.
Is this film really good? Is this film really good?
The second half of this film is amazing.
It might be.
I think
It might be. The problem is the fucking the fucking start of the middle build is dog shit, doo doo poo poo.
But does it matter?
Yes, only because.
Don't think it does. You can watch like
Okay, no. Here's what I'll say. Agree. No, look, listen. I would agree, except that I've literally spent the last 4 weeks like reading textbooks on literary theory because the book's coming out soon. We're in like the last stages of it, and we are checking everything 27 times.
yeah.
Which again, these people have billions of dollars. They could do it quicker, right? My problem is if you're going to try and execute something this impressive on the scale that it is, and with that genius ending that I now now that I can see it from that perspective, on both from a thematic perspective and like from a narrative, very good. And it would summon Captain Marvel, fucking one of my 3 options.
Yeah.
Cool, happy,
figured it
thank
out.
you, got it. But no one in the cinema probably understood the Captain Marvel symbol.
There was a line.
There were some people next to me that got
There's
it.
a line that I think
Exciting. I punched Ben's arm out of excitement. I don't know if that tells you
did.
anything.
There was a line that I don't know if you picked up on it, but I was like, oh, that's weird. Where when Spider-Man first comes to help Iron Man at the very start of the film, right when the portal appears, Iron Man is just like, "Where did you come from?" And Spider-Man responds, "I'm from the future."
What?
At least I thought that's what he said.
Didn't he come from a
Yeah,
field
he
trip?
did say that.
Field trip.
He said field trip.
Field trip.
No, he was on a school bus.
Yeah,
Going on
to a field trip. To
Yeah,
some,
they do reference field trip
to some
later.
meteorite lake.
Yeah.
They mentioned it a few
I
times.
heard future and I was like, time travel?
No,
I did
it's
hear
a
future as
Field
well.
trip.
I heard future. Do you hear future?
I did hear future, but
Field
maybe
trip
he
is
said
mentioned
field trip.
several times.
Field trip is mentioned a lot, so that
Tony
would make more
goes-
sense.
Maybe
This is
maybe
better
he
than a
said
field
field trip and we heard future.
I think I heard future. It would make no sense him being in that suit if he was from the future.
Yeah.
Yes. Also,
But my brain was ticking over. I was like,
Yeah.
So there's 2 possibilities. Either it's future, or it's field trip, or it's Viz, or it's Vince. Neither of which we can confirm. Both of which could
It's
be
a
true.
hun-
The problem is, no one in that cinema sat still long enough to fucking hear it.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
That
I
was a-
hate... Okay, I'm going to complain. Actually, no, I shouldn't, because like, it was small
Just-
screenings.
yeah.
But like, there was a press screening yesterday they cancelled, and it would have been so much better to go with reviewers, because they sit quietly, and they
They
sip
watch
their
the film.
lattes, and they go home. And they don't clap when Thor turns up, but in this one, there's a bunch of fans.
I can't believe people clap.
That
And
was
there was a-
Oh my
super-
God.
There
I'm
was a
like, you don't
sweaty guy
clap at the
next to me.
cinema. There's no performers to hear you.
I hate that shit. Actually, hang on. There's one film. What's the film that happened in where I also clapped? There's one thing I've seen in my entire life, and I can't think of what it is. Must have been something impressive. Can't
Must
remember.
have been.
But it was something.
I've-
Everyone clapped, and I clapped also.
I think there was a film where I clapped in, but I forgot.
I can't think of what it was though.
But it was a while ago.
But
Yeah,
it's got to be
when I was
really
young and
special for
stupid.
you to clap.
It like I don't feel anything often, but if a film makes me feel something, like,
I mean,
I often if a film makes me feel something, I make an essay about it.
My
Or-
my version is
you know.
clapping is silent tears.
My version
Just
of
crying in
enjoying
the
something is
corner.
sitting quietly and letting everyone else enjoy it.
yeah.
But like, no.
No, we gotta
Also-
yell and holler.
There was literally when Tony Stark gets murked in the chest with that, like, with his own knife. I heard someone brought a child to this film, which is crazy.
That's insane.
my
'Cause this
God.
film
That's-
is kind of fucking wild.
There's a lot of, like, swearing and shit.
Yeah.
And, he gets stabbed, and the kid literally audibly was like, no!
You're like, I feel you,
I
kid.
was like, I'm with you, but shut the fuck up. It's a cinema.
Yeah.
Look, I think to try and, I'm gonna, do you want me to try and do my trick or I wrap it all together? I think I can.
I don't know if you can.
Watch,
Well,
watch
let's
me
have
whip
a
up
Have you
quick.
been through all of your notes,
Let's have a
David?
quick.
have.
Let's have a
Okay.
quick like looking forward. Like
Yeah, we
where,
should talk
like,
about the future.
Like where do you think this? Like where do you think this leads? Like where does this go for the next few films? Which are
I
like
don't want Gamora to stay
how
dead.
do they?
Ant-Man and the Wasp, then it's Captain Marvel. I think Captain Marvel is going to be an
They're just
Avengers
gonna
film.
sneak it in there real quick.
I think it's going to be an Avengers film.
Yeah.
I think the page is going to go out, potentially through time. I don't know if that's true because we know her film is
That
set.
page will look pretty wild.
We know the film is set in the 90s.
I don't...
No. Actually, we know that her origin story is in the 90s.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I'm putting it together now. Okay, so her origin is in the 90s. She's still around. Maybe she's sleep. Yeah, no, I know what it's gonna be. She's in sleeping, or she's hibernating, or she's in hiding.
What if the Captain Marvel film is like starts in the 90s and then ends with her receiving the page?
Oh my god.
How annoying would that
Holy
be?
shit.
the double cliffhanger.
That'd be proper Moffat.
That would be
Oh my
proper
god.
Moffat.
Yeah, I think it's gonna fix it. I think she has to become the.
The thing is, I don't
Marvel
want Gamora
hero.
to stay dead.
Her name is
I don't
Captain
want-
Marvel.
I don't want Loki to stay
Marvel,
dead,
technically.
and like.
I just don't. Well, Loki's dead.
So my thoughts.
Gamora's dead.
My thoughts. Yeah, I think Loki is 100% dead.
Oh god, if they bring back
He's-
Gamora, I'll cry. I'll
Gamora-
cry.
I would
Gamora-
cry too. I would bawl.
I mean,
I don't
Her-
want them to stay dead.
I don't think I think Gamora could come back on the basis of she died she died for a soul stone. She died for a stone, whereas Loki was just choked out.
He's
Like
dead.
Loki physically died. Gamora was sacrificed, and I think
You
they
can-
could pull some strings via the stone. They said a soul for a soul, so why not a soul for a soul
You know,
again?
destroy the stone.
There's
maybe.
like
If
still
you
some
give
like
back the stone,
narratively
could
interesting
you-
stuff if she stays dead, but I don't want her to stay dead.
Well, I don't want her to stay
Please
dead
don't
either.
stay dead.
I think there's room for her coming back. Loki, nah, he's fucking dead. We saw him. He was gone.
Also, they needed to kind of shelf his arc because
What about the
He's kind of-
Asgardians?
They're gone. That is over.
it's over.
Like,
Thor's
that's
gonna have to
100% over.
start again with
like
the guy.
that's
He sacrificed
Look,
so much to save
Thor
Asgard.
1 and Thor 2 were fucking shit.
Yeah, but he
So-
sacrificed so much to save them in
It's-
Ragnarok.
Yeah, but Ragnarok is different.
There will be. I think Thor might do a road trip around the universe to find other Asgardians to find a new Asgard. There are so many options you have in this universe because there are so many people in
Yeah.
the world. But no, but also you can turn back time. Like, but
No,
okay,
I think
looking
Asgardians are
forward,
gone.
the question that you asked was, what do you think they're going to do to fix it? I think Captain Marvel's film will directly address it. Ant-Man and the Wasp is going to be an aside before this
Yeah,
happens.
it won't.
That's going to just
affect
be a
it.
filler.
And
Yeah.
we're going to have a great time. 'cause
Yeah,
it's
we're
gonna
not
be
gonna be
connected.
fun.
And then
Right.
Captain Marvel will directly address this, and Brie Larson's going to punch a bunch of people.
This is going to
And I'm gonna
Captain
fall in
Marvel
love
will
again,
be,
and it's gonna be great.
Will be the Civil War for
Yes.
But like, yeah, just this film, like it's structurally impressive. Like in my mind, it
Yeah.
just
There's
this
a lot
is
of
not a
pieces,
Marvel
and it's
film,
hard to
and
like keep it all
I
in your
actually
head
really
at
like
once.
it.
But it's interesting.
I need to rewatch it to make any of that. I think. Look, I agree with both of what you said. That ending thing I didn't get, which because I'm
You were
always
just in the
focusing.
moment.
I'm in the moment. I'm not
Yeah.
like I'm
Yeah.
like emotionally there. Like so, thank you guys pointed that out helped. But I think this film is either one of the smartest and most genius pieces ever, or a really solid attempt at that.
I mean,
And
you
either
gotta
way, I
really
respect it.
hope that because they've been thinking about this for a long time.
No, Kevin Feige has. That doesn't necessarily mean they have. He is
Alright.
the guy. This is the difference, right?
Is this the culmination of his vision?
Is he a lunatic?
I don't know.
That's the thing. DC is governed by a board. That's
Yeah.
one guy is in charge of Marvel, and obviously like the stakeholders and stuff. But like maybe
You
he's a
know,
lunatic.
so far I'm satisfied.
I had-
Like,
you know what?
you know what? I felt feelings.
This
I
is-
got what I wanted out of this film.
Yeah.
I had a much better time than I even thought that I would.
This is like a weird. This is definitely like a part one. Like
oh yeah.
I feel like
I think no.
as an
They-
experience
oh, man.
we need closure.
It's one hell of an ending. It's
I
like
think it's an
they
ending
quickfire
a
kill
new
off
era.
so many
Yeah.
characters, and then it just ends, and you're like, what?
Like this is not only
And like
the end of
they
phase.
wait until the after credits to show you that help is on the way.
Yeah. And that tease for the first, what you assume is the first after credit scene, is just like that's so like whether the Avengers Infinity War and then it just like blowing away. Like that's what this film is. They're
Yeah.
like, we've done 10 years of this
It's
shit.
over.
We've had 3 phases when like it's done.
What's coming is different.
What's coming
It's
is
new.
different.
And they proved that they can do different with Thor and Spider-Man and Guardians too.
Yeah, they showed that
Yes.
like, oh, we can make
Yeah. That's
interesting films.
kind of what I want out of the Marvel like cinematic universe in the
Yeah.
future.
I
Like
think-
more of that shit.
If we're talking about what connects, so we've been doing this podcast for 3 years almost, and a lot of it I'm really proud of. And there's episodes that I look back on and I go, you know what? I don't know. Like, but
Yeah.
like that's with anything you make for a long time.
Right.
We've been doing this for so long, and I'm really proud of what we've made and done thus far. And I think when you think about that with what we've done in the context of like this pop culture world, where like often it's unconnected stuff. What Marvel has done, whether for the right reasons or for money or for whatever, like what they've done with their universe is they've built a connective tissue that in some weird way has made the last 10 years cohesive for me in a way that I wasn't expecting. Like I can trace back 10 years of my life.
Except for Incredible Hulk.
I can
Oh,
trace
yeah,
back
talk
my life 9 years to something that I'm really proud of.
Iron Man 1 was
And-
the same year as
I can
Incredible
trace
Hulk.
back my life 10 years. I was trying to do a fucking ending monologue, you sons of bitches.
continue.
9 years and 6 months. No, wait, no, because Iron Man was
Iron Man 1
before
came
it.
out first, yeah.
8 years.
9
what-
years with a bit of a dark period.
With I hit my head. It's
Yeah.
gone. No, I think we've made some shit we're really proud of, and we made some shit that like I think we could have done better. And Marvel is the same. They've made stuff that you can look at objectively and go, that is a fantastic piece of media, and they should be proud to call it under their banner. And they made stuff that is a miss, but you only make misses, true misses, when you're trying. Biggest problem with Marvel is the bland misses. It's the Avengers 2 they forced Joss Whedon to do. It's ironically Ant-Man, which is a good film, but feels bland in the context of Marvel. It's Thor 2. It's the times that they didn't reach for something new. And when you look at the new films and why they work, it's because when we're talking about Infinity War as the culmination of years of films and stories and characters and ideas and motifs, the big first event was the Avengers film. And for this film to draw on those themes so heavily and in such a visceral, aggressive way, it makes me think that when they planned that film and they went to the second film and they have those visions, really what they were saying is like, look, these heroes have ramifications for their actions. We got the Accords. We got to see Tony Stark break down, experience that PTSD. We got to see the different iterations of Don Cheadle losing his legs. What we've seen is that they're saying, look, all of these heroes are great and they're fantastic, but in this universe and in life, everything has a price. For Thanos to do what he did, the price was Gamora. For Tony Stark, the price was to survive. For Doctor Strange, the price was the universe. Maybe. On the off chance that it works. And I think what they're trying to say with all of these films, and in this film especially, is that truly, if you want to actually make a difference, what you do is you trust and you make sure that you reach forward for the people that you love, like Wanda does with the Vision. She actually makes that decision, like Peter does with Gamora, and you try and do the right thing even when it doesn't make any sense or even when it feels like it's not going to work. And if that's not a good message for a fucking 10-year franchise, Batman v Superman, what is? Like that. This whole film is about like love and sacrifice for love, and like Captain America says it beautifully, and it's his pathos that colors this universe and colors these characters.
The relationships between the characters, I think, is some of the strongest thing about this film.
Yeah, well,
actually.
like it's the idea of like, you know what, like, man, if one life is the cost of the universe, then it's probably not worth it because one life is as valuable as every other. And you know what, if you can execute on that, and you can also have a great story with a bunch of characters and everyone gets good screen time and it's well executed, maybe this movie is actually really good. And that gives me a little bit of hope for the future, and I'm excited to see more, and I didn't expect to say that at the beginning of today, but I'm glad that I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, this is a bridge between like eras of Marvel. Like this isn't a film. If this is a film, this is a garbage film, and it goes at the bottom of the tier list. But as it's not a film. It's a bridge from like one era of this 10-year franchise to a new era where half the characters just aren't there anymore, and you just have to live with that.
And that's just growing up, you know.
Yeah. Like, not only are half the characters gone, but the characters that would have cared about those characters
films worth of character development. Like, like the relationships between these characters, they've spent like some of them multiple films building up these relationships. Yeah, and they I don't think murdered them.
I don't want to tier list this one.
I think that's fair, and I don't want to plug anything because I just think this is a moment in time. Maybe something doing this for as long as we have has made me realize is that sometimes the whole point of the show is that we break stuff down to understand why it works, and so that when you're making stuff, you can make better shit. But the reason for that is so that you understand why stuff is good, because good stuff is like what makes the world go round, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So maybe it's fine that I didn't enjoy it until you pointed out the ending, but maybe it's just a moment in time, and we should appreciate it for what it is. If you want more of whatever this show is becoming, and I'm excited to see where it goes, and we're going to talk about the Marvel Universe more because I'm excited to see what they do with it.
I don't think this film was like the end of us talking about Marvel,
but it might be the start of
change
a different way we talk about it.
Yeah,
and I think that's fine. And if you want to hear us do that more or just hang around, you guys know all the usual places. It's all in the show notes, but. I just want to say thank you for listening. It's been a wild journey the last 8 weeks. I feel emotionally drained.
I'm just done.
What?
I'm so done.
Like,
I'm looking forward to not having to watch Marvel films for a few months.
Have a break. Yeah, I had a really great time. But yeah, if you want to follow us, you know all the places to do that. I just want to say a big thank you to our Patreons. You guys have been wild the last 8 weeks, last 2 months with your support.
Pretty much the reason we did this.
I think, you know, I when we talk about our Patreons, I'm like, yeah, well, they're the backbone of the show because they have our background, you know. So yeah, thanks for supporting us, everyone, and listening to the show. We're not ending it. I just feel like this is a good point and like a good juncture to actually say thank you for listening. And as always, I'm at DC. I'm a Head Pie.
I'm at Literal Citrus.
I'm at Laura Ducky B.
And we will see you guys next week.